Cloud. Okay. So I wasn't sure if you were allowed to record a prayer or not, so I just decided to wait until we finished the prayer. I'm Megan Williams. For those of you who don't know me, I was called on Saturday night at 9:45 in the evening to this calling. I also serve in the stake as the Just Serve specialist, hence the email that everyone was so gracious to email me on. And I also serve as gospel doctrine teacher in the Liberty Ward, is where I'm at. And so it's interesting because this has been a lot of information in about 48 hours. And then I've been working to get us organized and helping not just our stake, but 9 stakes be in a place that we are ready to man the phones on Friday. So I want everyone to know the first thing is there is no required time. Okay, so this is very important. A lot of people have sent me wonderful messages to say I can do this time or I can't do this time. The first thing I want everyone to know is whatever you can do is perfect. Okay, there's not a quota, but I was doing the math because I like doing math. And if all of us did 10 calls, then we would knock out, because there's about 70 volunteers. And hopefully we'll get a few more before the end of the week. But if we all did 10 calls, we'd knock out 700 calls. Currently in the queue, we're going to see in a minute, there are 1,900 calls that need callbacks. So then I thought, if we all did 5 calls over 4 days, so that'd be 20 calls each, then we would get 1,400 calls done. And we would get things really organized for when they start to deploy the workers. And so I'm going to show you a little background about this so we can all understand, and then I'm going to show a few things on the website to make sure everybody feels comfortable. But the good thing is I've done some calls already, and it's not hard. It's actually very simple, and the program is so impressive. So it is okay if like the first couple times it feels a little awkward. I don't want anyone to worry, but I'm going to share some really cool things first. I'm going to share my screen for a minute about this. So where this came from is there was a crisis in New Jersey a few years back, and they named this organization VOAD. So it's the Volunteer Organization Active Disaster, I guess. Well, if you see our big Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but there's also a ton of other programs that plug into the system. So technically, no one knows that the church owns this site and manages it to keep everything running smoothly. So I thought that was so cool to learn that all of these organizations rely on this to have one map and one way to track all the service being done. And so it's really incredible. And in the past, they usually work in that crisis, but they're learning that if we take ourselves out of the situation and we get volunteers on the phone that don't live there, it works a lot better. It's a lot smoother. So it's very, very good. And I apologize. I think my kids are getting picked up for Mutual. Will you please check and then go open the side gate and don't let them bug me. Sorry, we have Mutual at our house tonight with the priest quorum. It's so exciting. So what this is supposed to do is reduce duplication. And what we're in charge of helping people organize is property cleanup. Now I'm going to show some things on the website, but the number one thing for us to do is to help expectations, okay? And so every time there's a disaster, they send out flyers on social media right away, and it helps everyone in the community know. And they post them in churches and in every newspaper. They try to get it out as fast as they can. And so for Hurricane Ida, they actually were without power. In a lot of places, they're still not going to have power until October. So they've been taking people out of those towns and those areas. And so they're just trying to get as much organized as possible. It's kind of crazy. So here's how this works. So I want everyone to learn. So the resident or a friend can call in for someone else, which we're going to show you in a minute. They call in. And if they don't get picked up, then it goes into an answer machine system, and then we do callbacks later. And then that's where we are. We're going to be the volunteers who are the phone agents who either answer or do callbacks. And then a different stake ward group is going to go show up and do all the hard work, right? They're going to get to fix the pipes. They're going to clean all the debris. They're going to do it. And it could be other organizations like on that list, Red Cross, other things like that. And then, of course, once they're done, they're going to post it in the site that it's complete, okay? And so let me show you. This is what it looks like in our screen when you log in. So as you can see here on the map, there'll be a ton of different projects. And I'm going to go live to the website in just a minute so I can show you guys better. But it's very interesting because every time we put a case in, it will categorize it a certain way. And when they come into work, they'll do certain groups at a certain place and they'll all get it done, hopefully, and have it finished up. And so it's pretty remarkable. And then what we'll see when we call is a screen like this. And I'm going to go in just a little bit. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. And it's interesting. So Gina, who's one of the liaisons for the whole group, when we first started talking on Saturday night, I talked to her at midnight to get the rundown of what we needed to do and be prepared. The calls were about 300. And now we're up to 2,000. So there's a lot that has happened in the last 72 hours. So it's pretty impressive what we're going to be able to handle between us and the other stakes that are going to be involved. Now, when we put an order in, the guys who go and work will get a picture like this, and they have a QR code, and it takes them to the site so they can say they're completed, but it shows them everything they need to know to be ready to show up at that person's home. It's pretty impressive. And so it's nice. They actually set these up at stake centers, and they have an entire workstation that people come through and they pick up the tools and everything after Deseret has brought them all there. They're going to bring semi trucks in for all the equipment and machinery and everything like that, which is pretty impressive. And then, of course, as you can see here, these stations look like so, and they'll be look at all that. They'll bring all the supplies in, and hopefully they'll be able to do the relief to help out. So it's very organized. It's extremely intense on the ground, but I bet it's a fantastic experience. Here, look at this. They'll prepare showers for all the workers because some areas there's still no running water. And so when people come into work for the weekend, it basically becomes a big campsite, and then everyone goes out and works for the 2 days or 3 days or whatever they're doing. It's kind of impressive. So I feel very humbled that we've been asked to participate in this, but it's a really real-time sensitive scenario. And so I appreciate everybody who has been willing to let me email you, and I know things are not perfect, and I'm learning as I'm going. So the number one thing is we have to realize we're all learning as we're going.
What happened?
I got muted. There we go. I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I don't know how I got muted. All right. So what's so interesting about this is that we're going to learn as we go, and we just have to try it. And sometimes our computers aren't going to be perfect. Sometimes, we're just going to learn. But we can't be afraid of it because it's so rewarding when you make the call. Okay, I want everyone to know I've done some calls, and it's been phenomenal knowing we can help. So there's a couple things that I want everyone to know as I sent out a reminder, and in it I put a basic phone understanding with it on that email. Now, if you didn't get the email, it's okay. You can go back and look and see if it's there, and then you can print it out later. But I'm going to hit a few points about it just because I think it's so important to have just kind of an understanding and a basic guideline when we do this. So I don't want anyone to feel like you have to know all the answers. It's impossible. But there are a few key things we have to do when we are going through this experience, okay? So the first thing we really need to do is listen. What I found in some of my calls it's not a perfect connection. The towers are kind of destroyed. Some of the people's phones aren't working so great. So you just, and they have the cutest Southern drawls. So if you're not used to Southern drawls, it will be a little overwhelming. So you can go slowly. And unlike me, who's a total Yankee who talks way too fast, when I was on the call, I slowed down, I listened, and then you start asking questions. And it was really interesting. One of my calls was a call that came in and they had got disconnected. So their case was partially in it. Hang on, I'm gonna grab my paper. Really quick. So what's interesting is if we listen, we'll be able to fill out most of the details, but it was interesting because she had most of them filled out, but there were still some pieces missing. And so I asked her questions, and as I was learning to navigate, it was my very first call, I found what she had put in, and then I added a few extra things. And then when we finished, she said, oh wait, I need to put a case in for my aunt. So then I started typing in the aunt's information, which I'm going to show you guys how to do this in just a minute. And it was very interesting. The aunt already had a case in as well, but it was missing some things like she needs a tarp because she has a big hole in her roof. And so we added the tarp, and then we went through a couple extra things as well that needed to be added, and then I added it to the base. But I will tell you, if you feel like you're not the perfect multitask, put your phone on speaker. That's going to be very important so that your hands are free while you're typing. And then I want everyone to know too that it's okay if you have to ask them to repeat something or make sure some things are correct. So I want to show you a couple things about what's required as we do this. And then to see the screen itself, okay? So I'm going to share my screen. Let me come find it. Hang on just a second. I thought I had it open and I don't have it open, but now I do. Okay. So let me.
Can I ask you a question while you're doing that?
Yes, ask me a question, please.
Well, from down south, can you tell us the name of your organization that we can put in the computer?
Oh, what do you mean the organization put for the computer?
What's our organization name?
So we're actually under the Cincinnati, Ohio North Stake. So that's what we're under. So I'm going to show you here on my screen, when you log in and they start taking calls, if you look at the leaderboard right here in the middle of the screen, the people who are working, we can see like Coconut, Florida Steak. Isn't that a fun steak name? So they're working right now. We have Apex, North Carolina State working. And so we can see that each stake has been assigned a certain amount of time. So we have 2 weeks from Friday until the fall, 2 weeks from then. So we have from the 10th, I think, until I can't do my math right now, but we have 2 weeks is what we're assigned to do. And we'll see everybody. Now, there's some people who are not part of stakes as well. So there's not only just members, there's other people as well. But you can see that's how we're categorized. So our organization is our stake. So we're the Cincinnati, Ohio North Stake is how we are how we are recognized in there. And then we can invite other people, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But what I want you guys to see here is the first thing when you log in, there's the dashboard, which I'm going to go to. It looks like this. But most of us yet do not have a phone symbol showing. Now, if you had a chance to watch the videos, it would show you how to log in. Now, one more thing. If you haven't been able to log in because maybe you timed out, just send me a message. And if you look here, I have us all. And then I can resend anybody themselves so that they can get in, because I've noticed it's supposed to be good till the 15th, but some people's timed out sooner than that. So there are a few little quirky things with this site so far. Okay, but what's neat about this, so let's say you don't have a phone on your black screen over here. The very first thing I want everyone to do when you log in is go to your name up here and click on profile, all right? And then here, it will say field worker, which I'm not, primary contact I am. And then we also have phone agent and phone agent leader. And when you click on it, it lets you click on phone agent and you'll click it. And then after you click it and hit save, then you have to refresh your screen up here and then it will show up. Okay, so then your little phone icon will show up. All right, so it's very important. if you're having an issue getting it to show up, one thing we might have to do is look right here in front of the crisis cleanup. There's a little lock, okay? And what I had to do is I had to click on the lock. I allowed my microphone just in case, but I went to site settings. So let me show you this. And then under my site settings, I had to allow pop-ups and redirect. So if it's not showing, if something isn't working, go to the little icon again. Let me come back here. Up here where the little lock is, and go to your site settings and allow for pop-ups.
I had to do that last night.
Yes, okay, good. So Russ, you did that last night and then it worked. Is that right?
That's correct.
Wonderful. I was so proud of you
Megan?
guys. Yes, go ahead, Paul. Or
I guess I'd also reiterate that you cannot use Microsoft Edge for this. It has to be
Correct.
Chrome or Firefox.
Right.
That's exactly right. And I had one person respond that they didn't think they had access to Chrome or Firefox, and you can add Chrome to any computer as an extension, and then you upload it. But if you don't have one of those two, this program won't work. We're working on an Amazon platform, and it won't work on the other internet providers. Okay, so it has to be Chrome or it has to be Firefox for these things to work, especially the phones. And I'm going to show you this in just a minute. Okay, now once we're here, this is pretty interesting, and it's really amazing that someone figured out how to do this. Okay, all right. David, you had a question, Brother Castile.
Yeah, just real quick.
Sure.
You mentioned that you could resend the invite, the
Yes.
invitation. I never did get an invitation.
Okay, I sent you one after you emailed me, but it may have gone into your spam. So I'm learning that the actual sometimes goes into people's spam. So definitely look at that. If not, I'll send it again. No problem when we get done today with that. Okay. Now, here's what's so interesting. And so if you look here, we can see, where this area is and really affected. A lot of these batches are all here in the Louisiana area. And as you see, I clicked on work so you guys could see. So if someone calls in and they say, I just wanted to see if my case is in the system, I called in before, you could start typing in over here on the right-hand side, you could start typing in Jane Doe, whoever she is, and you could find her. And it's interesting, you can look someone up by their name, by their address. So those are the two things, and even their phone number will bring them up if they want to give it to you, okay? And so it's interesting because if you click on someone's project, then it takes you to where it is, what's going on, and then you can go through the side list and make sure, like here, she said she called to say that she already got a tarp on the roof and everything's taken care of, okay? So on that one, it got completed, and so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Let me hit cancel. Let me show you another one. Let's say, let me go back here. Okay, let's say we were looking up a Greg, and they came, oh, that one's got complete too. I didn't want that. Hang on just a second. Let me go back to one that's not done. So if we come here like this one, it needs tree removal. The little icon is a tree. It has his name, his address. Now, when we enter an address, type it slowly because Google Maps will come up and fill it in, and you want to have it click to the Google Map site. So then it will get on the map the right way, okay? And as you come down here, there's some notes and there's sections. So there's section 1, there's section 2 about the details, and then you come down, they ask about the house. I found you ask them if it's a house or the trailer. Like if you look down here, you could write mobile home. I've had a mobile home. I've had some apartments and condos. So you put those in. And then if they own it or rent it, and if it's okay to work without the person present. I have had to ask that question because some of them are going back to work, okay? And then like here, the water's on, there is gas there, but there's no power. So you ask those quick questions, and then you get to number 3. So once you get to number 3, like this one was work. So they have some tree work. I had a couple other that was muck out. Their basement was flooded and they needed some help getting it mucked out. This individual has 2 trees, and then they actually ask how big the tree is, and if you put your arms out and you can go around it, then it's bigger than this last one that's here. Hang on. Like it would say how many inches, you'd go bigger than 5 inches. They should have said that, by the way. It's wider than 18 inches, okay? And then, of course, if they were adding anything extra, you would put it here. And then is there any hazards? So we have to, if there's a lot of debris, we may have to ask, you know, are they hoarders? You know, is there a lot of debris? Is it very difficult to get into it, especially if they ask for a basement muck out? We have to find that out. There's nothing on this one. And then, of course, if it hasn't been touched yet, nobody's volunteered yet, and there's no photos. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. But we're in charge of 1 through 4. And then once we get to a point where we are going to save it, another screen's going to pop up, and another screen is going to pop up, and then we'll be able to add a little bit more details and notes before you save it. And the good thing about this system is it asks you questions. Did you fill out everything before you hit save? So I'm going to show you a couple things too. Now, sometimes you might be typing, it might get kind of overwhelming. Just take the notes on a piece of paper, and then when they hang up, or when they say they have everything, they hang up, you have time before the next call. You can let it not go to the next call for a minute while you finish filling out all the details. So there's not an urgency like, oh, I've got to take the next call immediately. You can take the time, make sure you clicked the 4 areas that we need to fill out. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
I promise once you do one, it will make more sense. But I did, on my little phone thing, I have pictures for each of these things. Now, a lot of times people are like, okay, but what do we say when we call them? So I'm going to show you that in just a minute. And then there's only 3 types of calls we'll end up doing over our 2 weeks. We're going to do the on-hold live calls. Then we're going to do the call box. And then there's going to be a few call downs. But we're not really that part of this project. We're so much at the beginning. Call downs are when we have to call back to see if work got done after the crews have come through. So we really are going to do really mostly 1 and 2 together, okay? Now, the neat thing is when you start taking calls and someone calls, they're never going to see your phone number. You're never going to give your phone number. But the nice thing is once you click this button right here, see I'm offline, but if I hit start taking calls like this, then they're going to start putting someone who's on hold to come to me. And I'm doing this live. I'm not going to take it. You'll see what I can do in a second. But it comes up and it says, hello, this is the crisis hotline. My name is Megan. How can I help you? So the crisis cleanup hotline. And then if I do not accept it in the first 17 minutes, it either goes to somebody else or it skips or it stops. It puts me off a line. So if you got distracted or something happens, it's okay if you didn't hit accept, but you have to hit accept. And then what happens once you hit accept is it takes a minute to come to your phone. So you hit accept, then it rings to your phone, you answer, and then the operator says, connecting to the live call now. So then you wait on your phone, and then the person gets on, and then you can, the script goes really big on the top of the screen, so you know exactly what to say, and then you say, how can I help you? And they start to tell you. And so they start to tell you, and then you might say, wait a minute, let me make sure I spell your name correctly. And on the right-hand side of the screen is all the places you start to fill out. The most important thing is we do not want to ask for medical information. We do not want to ask for any private details. So, for example, there's a place that says, is someone over 60? Well, you don't want to ask how old they are, but I did have to ask somebody if there was a disability, and they said yes. The wheelchair ramp got destroyed. So I put that in notes. There wasn't a place for that someone could come build, because her aunt was stuck inside the house without being able to get out because her wheelchair, there's no ramp anymore. So I put that in, and I put it as a more important thing than maybe moving a tree. Does everyone understand? Because that's a person who's stuck and can't get out of their house as well. So as you're listening, you'll be able to add those details in. The average call is about 12 to 15 minutes, okay? So if you have only 30 minutes, jump in and see if you can do 1, maybe 2 calls. So again, I don't want everyone to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to sit down and get 4 hours knocked out right now because I told Sister Williams I could do from 4 to 8. listen, if you can jump in and you can do a call, then that's good. So I want everyone to feel like whatever you're doing is perfect. And the truth is I just want to make sure that we feel comfortable. And if you are having an issue and it's not working right, then just call me. So my second email I sent out to confirm everybody has my phone number on it, my direct cell phone, and I'll do what I can to help. I know I just got 2 text messages about resending your registration so you can get in. So I'll do that again for anybody who needs it. But I love that most of you have already watched a lot of the YouTube videos to see this. So I think it will be easier when you start, okay? So I just wanted to show one more time so everybody saw. So I don't have an actual demo of like the callback one on this, but I saw her do one and it was really interesting because the callback is very similar. When we get to the point where there's no calls on hold and they start doing callbacks, it does the same thing and a big screen pops up and it says, hey, we saw that you left a message. We're calling you back to get the details to see how we can help. Now, there's a couple things I wanted to show you right here. So yes, we are called the Crisis Cleanup Hotline. That's what we're called if people ask, just so you know. So people ask, you can always say we're volunteering for the Crisis Cleanup Hotline. So if people are asking, and if somebody else asks me if they have some non-member friends who would like to do it, as long as you know that they're good people and they're not going to try to take advantage of somebody on a phone call, then I trust you and we can invite them and they would just register, as our stake, because that's how we're linked. And then if they fill out the form for me, just have them put your ward on there so I know where they came from. That's all, just so I can keep track of our volunteers, okay? I wanted to show one other thing though that was important. Just a second, let me just put, see if there's a Ryan. Okay, so if you look here on the right-hand side where this case is coming up, and you go down here to the case details, see how there's a place here in section 2 where it says special needs. That's where I put the ramp situation with the wheelchair. Over 60, children in the home. It's really good to ask if there's first responders or veterans, because some of the donation groups that are going to work are veterans and first responders, and they like to go to those places first. So we need to make sure we do ask if there's a veteran or a first responder in the home. So that was one thing they did emphasize, to ask that at least during the case details, okay, was that. And then let's see here. I wanted to see if there was anything else I might have forgotten, but once you hit save, now this is very important. Down here it says save and claim and save. We only ever hit save. So if we hit save like so, then it's important because we don't want to hit claim and save, otherwise it would have us do the work. So we don't want to do the work because we are not there, okay? So that's very important, all right, everybody? So no doing the work for that. Okay, so those are the couple of the key things I just wanted to show. I'm learning just like you are how this all works, okay? I promise. I am gonna do my best, but there was one more thing. Let me share one more thing I forgot that has been very helpful. So someone got locked out. Down here at the left-hand side, there's a help button. And if you click help and you put your name, your email, and then what you need, they respond live person and email you and ask what is going on, that they can help reset something or fix something. So these guys who are the tech, you can even take a screenshot of what's happened and you can upload it in case something stops working on your computer for some reason, okay? So the nice thing is they will help us if we don't know if what's working perfectly on here, and they're very quick. I got my response within 15 minutes when I sent a case over about someone being locked out of their account, okay? So I forgot to show you that too. I think those are the main things I wanted to hit.
I have a question.
Yes, I'd love to answer questions.
You said something about pictures. How do you get pictures that somebody might have?
Okay, so we wouldn't take pictures. Those pictures are going to come from the on-site people when they're working the project.
Okay, so it wouldn't come from the people we're talking to.
No.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about them.
We don't have to worry about that. The pics, right on the one I just meant for the help would be if your screen froze up or something wasn't working. But the most of the answers are log out and then log back in.
Okay,
You know, turn off your computer, turn it back on. It usually fixes any cookies. Yes, Joyce.
Yeah. Would we ask them if the insurance people have already seen this, having had used to work for an insurance company, and they wanted to see all the damage before anything was ever cleaned up? Do we ask that question?
You know, that's not a bad idea. Most of the people, what I learned from working with Gina is that most of the people who are calling in do not have insurance. They do not have the resources to have any type of claims. That's why they're asking for help. So I would definitely recommend them say, make sure to take pictures just so you have it for your records, and then maybe take pictures as the workers come and clean it up so you have some before and after, just in case. I mean, you can definitely say that for sure. Brother Lapidi, do you have any thoughts on that, or do you want to add something else?
I have a question. When we do a callback, I know there's a particular little icon you hit upon, and it doesn't, it calls through the system. I'm not sure how that works, but it keeps our number confidential. I do know that.
Correct. So whether we're doing live calls or we're doing a callback, the system will call us first, then connect us to the other party. The other party will never see our phone numbers. And we don't ever want to give our phone numbers to anyone, and we never want to promise. So when I've been on my calls, here's the things I've said. You know, thank you so much for letting me put all this information in. I'm not sure when they're going to be there. I have to say it could be a couple weeks from now because they're working on getting different groups to come down. And I just want you to know, there was a place where there was like drywall and a few other things. We cannot promise that we're going to do any drywall or any of that stuff. And so some of them will ask, well, my entire wall is damaged. Will someone help me put the drywall up? We may have to say some of the things that we're dealing with need licensed people. And so once people are there on site, they'll give you some advice or be able to tell you what they can do. But we can't promise that it's going to get done. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's very important that we don't set any expectations that all of this work is going to get done and their house is going to look. We are the muck out crew. And so let me give you one more scenario. Let's say somebody had a lot of debris or trash. The team would come in, they'd clean it all, but they would really put it all in a big pile because the garbage trucks are coming through and picking it up. They're not necessarily hauling it away. So that's another expectation for people because they're like, yeah, I need to get it all cleaned out. Yes, we're going to clean it out as much as possible, but there's another group that will take it away from the property. We're just going to cut it down and get it out of the way so that it can be taken away. So again, we want to make sure we're not giving false expectations that we're like this magic crew that's going to make their house look the same as it was. Okay, that's not it. We're just trying to get it so that they can livable in the situation. Brother Hale, can you unmute yourself so you can ask me? And then Brother Darling, we'll do you next. Okay?
Sure. Can we start like tomorrow instead of waiting till Friday?
You do not have to wait till Friday. I was going to end with that. So I love it. Like I've been doing some calls already. Absolutely. If you have time tomorrow, you can start. They're just making sure that we follow through for the full 2 weeks that we end. So again, if everything works out well, I'm hoping to have 100 volunteers. So then we knock this out, and here's what's going to happen. We're going to move from Ida into Henry the following week. So Ida calls end on the 15th or 16th, and then we'll probably be moved into Hurricane Henry next up in New Jersey area afterwards. Okay, so we're just going to keep taking calls, but we may not only be in Ida for the whole time. We may be transitioning along the way. But yes, we can start right away. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, Brother Darling, you're next. I'll get your hands, I promise. I see you all.
Yeah,
Yes.
Megan, so I have questions. I went in there and I set myself up as a phone person, and the phone shows up and I go to the screen. It says disconnected, or it's disconnected and no connection. is there something that has to happen more before I can get to where you were?
So we might have to go into your settings and allow for pop-ups and to make sure it's doing it good. So I'm going to show that one more time, everyone. I'm going to come back to those questions. I know I see all the hands. Let me just make sure. So up here in the top corner there's a little lock. I had to allow pop-ups and I turned on my microphone just in case, but if you go to the settings page, there might be a few other things. So just make sure that it looks like the right things are allowed. And then, Brother Darling, if it's still not letting you, then we'll hit the help in the corner right here and let them know that it's only having you be offline. It's not putting you online, okay?
Okay, and then the other question I had is in the training stuff I watched, it talked about, in fact, it even showed the same screen. Okay, I got that fixed. It showed the same screen with a little orange for training, and then it talked about taking a quiz. And once you finished getting all the answers right on the quiz, then you can start taking calls.
Where's the quiz?
Nope. We don't need to take quizzes. This is our quiz. We're going to be experts. We're just going to do it. So we're okay. No quizzes for us. I made sure because I don't like tests. So
Okay.
I taught high school for 8 years and I don't want anyone to have to take a test. So we're all okay. Honestly, if nothing else, just go slow and steady, ask questions. And if you feel overwhelmed, then just stop and take a break. That's the key. Okay. That's the number one key. All right, Jeff, you're next. Brother Trusty.
Yeah. If you just only had your phone at the time and no computer, could I just get on the?
No, so it will not work. It has to be on a laptop or a computer, unfortunately. So it will not work through our phones or tablets or iPads. So
Okay.
even if you have the Chrome, I know they said there's something about it that the system won't recognize it. So it has to be on a computer. So
Okay.
very good question. All right, the Killmans. Or Kinmans, sorry, Kinmans. Yeah, sorry about that. Kinmans.
No, Kilman sounds awful cooler though.
Yeah, it both sounds cool. You can be kin. That's good too. So
so my understanding is we are not coordinating any schedules on our side. It's just whenever we are able to do it.
I only asked for when people were available, so I had an idea when I would have a lot more people on versus not on, so that I can make sure that I'm available for any calls if people need me as well, if that makes sense. Plus, at the time when I made my little spreadsheets, that's what they were kind of saying. Say, try to get people to do certain times of the day so we cover, the full day. But no, if you can jump on in the morning for a little bit, that's great. And then do the afternoon, that's fine too. We are not in shifts. So I really prefer it that way. I answered the question. I'll do it whenever I have a break.
All right, thank you.
We'll take whatever we can get. All right, beautiful Dory. How are you, my sweet friends?
I'm good.
Good.
I missed the very first part. Did you say that when we fill out the form, it's only numbers 1 through 4?
Correct. That's what we're doing. We're in charge of 1 through 4. In the callbacks, sometimes we'll get answer machines and then there'll be another pop-up that we'll put in notes to add to something. And they have enough with the callbacks that we know at least a phone number. We may not get a name, but on the answer machine, there might be a name. So we can put the name in and add it to that. So again, right now it's the 1 through 4 are the key things that we're focused on as the call center. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Ladles.
So our question is just about the time of day. So they're an hour behind us. So is there too early of a time to start calling? And is there too late of a time to start calling in the evening?
Very good. So technically it's from 9 in the morning until 8 o'clock, the time of the incident. So that would be for us 10 to 9 for this one. And then the following week will be in Henry. So it would be our time zone. So it will change. But I will tell you that I was on yesterday morning before 9 o'clock and people were already taking calls and working. So technically, if you can get up and do some calls at 8, it probably will give you some calls and some callbacks. So you could absolutely start to do it earlier than that, for sure. Okay. So I did find that it's not quite as sticky as that. The system lets us work around that a little bit, gives us some leeway so we can work around it for sure. All right, Kidmans, what's another question?
Sorry, it's my turn now.
Good.
So you mentioned it might take a little bit of time for responses to be able to come to their homes. Will they receive a phone call saying that they're going to be on their way or coming?
Yes. So in the questions, when we're doing the questions through 1 through 4, that's one of the questions. And I can't remember if it's in box 1 or if it's in box 3. I think it's in box 1. And it says, can we call you? At what time of day would be a good time to take a call? So it has that they will call them, that they're on their way to come. So I talked to one lady and she's like, well, I'm back at work. I said, well, can you take a call at work? And then there was the question later, is it okay if they move the trees while you're not there? And, so I could answer that question. So yes, they will be notified when someone's coming. And from my understanding from Gina, because she works with the call center and there's another gentleman who works with the people on site, that they have a 5-weekend window where stakes come in from Texas, Florida, Alabama. They're all coming in at different places. And they're hoping to get it done before people burn out, because obviously this is volunteer and they can come in for 3 days and then they have to go back home. So again, there's not a specific time frame, but they're starting, I think, this weekend. So this weekend, there'll be people on the ground working with these cases already. So it's happening. We can't promise them that someone's coming to their house this weekend. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Any other questions that anyone has? I have to just say that this has been extremely emotional for me because one, I didn't even know that there was this bad of a natural disaster. And I felt very humbled when I got called and President Foister said to me, hey, there's a big, tornado that went through Louisiana. I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad. And then when I found out it was also happening in Jersey, Pennsylvania, I felt very blessed that we're not affected. So I'm very happy for all of us. It's really good. But then, just figuring out how can we get this to work? And I want everyone to know how much I'm grateful for your willingness to serve. This is a really big deal. If this was our families and we were affected like this, the fact that there'd be other brothers and sisters out there trying to help our community while we couldn't is it's very overwhelming to me that this is even available. And I'm so grateful. Sorry, I'm not trying to be emotional, but I've been doing this. I've been working on this all hours of the night, fitting it in around my schedule too. And so the fact that each one of you are willing to give whatever time you can give. So I want everyone to know there's not going to be a checklist. I can see who's been on and I can see what's going on. I want you guys to know that. But if we can all commit to at least do 10 calls at the minimum each week, then we're going to be very helpful. Okay. And it was interesting because Elder Birch asked for our stake to be the first ones to start because for some reason he felt like we could rally and get this going by Friday. And when I talked to Gina, who runs the whole thing, she said, oh no, you guys can have more time. And I said, no, our area authority asked us to be ready to go on Friday. So we're going to be ready to go on Friday for whatever reason. This is what we've been asked to do. So I got to be in charge. And so if something is asked to do, then that's what we're doing. So I'm trusting Heavenly Father has a reason for us to be doing these calls. And I really feel humbled and grateful to each one of you. Okay. Hang on.
Can we start sooner than Friday?
Yes, we absolutely can, Sister Sanders. And I love that. So if you guys want to start taking calls, even tonight, you feel inspired, go for it. Because I've already done a call today because I had to practice again. So I'd be ready to talk to you guys. And I know there's still a few people who are having technical difficulties. And so I can jump on Zoom and share my screen with your computer and see if I can help on that first. And then we can also ask the techie people. If you haven't clicked my form just to tell me that, that you are doing it with me, you put your emails on there, your phone number, your ward, it would be super helpful because then when you email me, if I need to call you, I have my list and I can just go and I can find you fast. So it's been super, technology is just a miracle. Like this is just blowing me away. One, how many of you are volunteering is just, I'm so grateful. And then I'm just so grateful that we had a way to get the information and get everyone prepared so fast. Like, it's pretty impressive if you ask me. So I just want you guys to know I'm very humbled. And I feel like our stake, it is just a great opportunity for us to look outside ourselves and to, not look at the crazy things on the news about politics and masks and all the crazy things, but we can just go and help someone else. And it feels so good when you take the calls, I promise. And sometimes they're going to cry. Let me tell you 2 more things. Most people who call are not angry. So you're not going to have angry people. My girl said that there's like 1 out of 500 is angry about something. So you're not going to have angry calls, but you might have calls of people who are crying. And we might have calls with people who call in on behalf of someone else. And that is 100% okay as long as they have the name, phone number, and address of that person. Then you can put a case in for somebody else. Okay, so it's okay. Don't feel like, oh, I can't take it. It's not the person. No, a lot of older people don't know what they're doing and their neighbors are helping them. Okay, so just that's good. Ladles, you guys had another question? Nope. Okay, your hand was still raised. All right, let me see if I can put it down. I don't know how to do that. Oh, I did it. I got it. All right, any other questions before we jump off? And like I said, we're going to learn at the same time as we go and do this for sure.
Sister Williams?
Yes.
Define older person.
Okay. Well, on the graph, it's 60 and above, but I will tell you that my dad is a young 75 spry, and he doesn't say he's old ever, ever. He's like, I'm not old. What are you talking about? So you're absolutely right. I should be very careful how I say that because we're not old yet. Okay. No.
Sister Rampton just told me that I'm over 60, but she is not.
See, she was smart. She knew you were smart because you got someone young and beautiful, you lucky man, for sure. Terry's great. Elizabeth, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I was wondering, when I signed on, it said something about this being recorded. Was the Zoom meeting recorded?
I recorded the meeting because there were about 20 people who couldn't get on tonight. So I'll send it out to all of us.
Okay.
Does that sound good to everybody just in case? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
I'll
great.
send out the recording so we can hear it again for sure. I tried to be shorter, but there's so much detail for us, but we're going to be fine, everybody. I promise. It's going to be okay. The computer will do most of the work and nobody will get your phone number and you don't have to tell anyone your last name. Just be your wonderful selves that you are, because that's really what they want to hear. And a lot of times they just want to talk to somebody because their house is gone or there's a hole in their roof or it got flooded and, so just listen and just love them and just, do our best we can with this scenario. Okay. Was there any other questions?
Yeah. Hey, you had a very short amount of time to get this all coordinated with us all. I wanted to offer you so much gratitude. You did a great job tonight for getting us there. But it has just been amazing how this has come together. And so thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for saying that. It has been Heavenly Father 100% who gave me ideas on how to do things and to get it organized. And I will tell you, I was on with 2 other stakes, high councilmen, and I already had our letter that I sent everybody out. And and President Foister had sent out the really nice email to everyone for volunteers, and they had nothing. They were like, we don't even know where to start. And I said, it's okay, we'll share. I'm going to share. So I shared everything with 5 other stakes and then Gina, I told her any other stakes want to use our stuff, send it to them because it really was very overwhelming for the first 24 hours as I ran around. I got on about 7 Zooms to watch what other people were doing and to figure it all out. And I'm just so grateful. I was like, I just hope we get volunteers because I can't do it myself.
No problem.
So really, each of you are really the miracles. So thank you, everybody, so much. I love it. And yes, Anne.
I have one other question. So we cannot promise anything other than the fact that we are getting their information. It is going to, where is it going to? And then to volunteers, and they will take it as they can. Is that correct?
That's right. And so we just say, unfortunately, I don't know which location they're going to start working over the next few weeks, but you should hear from someone in the next few weeks. That's all you just tell them. So that's how you answer that question. Again, it is really nice that people are understanding. It's been very impressive. The people on the other end are not like expecting someone to show up tomorrow. So they understand. They're all been in that adrenaline rush, and now they're coming down from it. And so luckily, it happened basically almost a week out now. So it's not quite as intense when we're talking to them. So it will be good. And like I said, I will resend out this recording for everybody so that we can hear it again. And then, and remember, there is no specific hours except for we're technically open from 8 until 9 o'clock in the time zone that it happened. But we can start taking calls earlier, and we could man the phone a little later, depending on if people are available. Okay. And so those are the basic main things. I think that is it. Yes, Sister Wilson. Oh, wait, we have to unmute you. Let me have you unmute. Hang on. You guys have been so good, such good etiquette on Zoom.
Now, is this every day of the week? Are we?
It's whenever you can. So like I said, if all you could do is 5 calls in one day, that's great. That would be about an hour. If you can do more, wonderful. If you can do, if you could only do 1 call that day, we'll take it. Does everyone understand? There is not a clock in time, but I would love it if we all made a personal goal, like, okay, today I'll do at least 5 calls, okay, so we can get things done. Because if all of us did 5 calls in a day, we'd get a lot done. We'd get a couple hundred knocked out to help out. So, but if you can only work on the weekends, then only work on the weekends. And on Sunday, they take calls on Sunday, and Monday tends to be the most called in time because people think we're closed on the weekends. But it's a great Sunday activity because it's service. So you could do it after church for an hour or two too. So if you can't do during the week, then do the weekend. So again, there's no set time that you have to do. I will take whatever you can do. Does that make sense? The Lord will take whatever we can do. This is the perfect example of the widow's mite. Whatever you can do will be perfect.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That's right. It's very good. Any other questions before we end tonight?
You mentioned a form to fill out with our availability or our rough availability. I didn't get an email with that.
No, Brother Tucker, it was the very first line. I'll send it back to you again. I'm not sure if you got it either. Did you email me at Just Serve?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
I'll go look for you again. It's on the very first. It says, do the urgency. I need us to take 5 minutes, fill this out, and then it goes on to all the other instructions. But I'll send it back to you just to make sure. But
okay. I see it. I see it now.
Okay, perfect. So if you'll just fill that out for me, it just gives me an idea who might be available. And again, if you can't do a call that day, it's okay. You guys, no one will be upset. I am appreciative of whatever can be done. Is that the Lord's appreciative of whatever we can get done? All right. So when the worst thing I don't want anyone to do is to log in and go, oh my gosh, there's 1,900 callbacks and I can only do 1. Guess what? 1 was perfect. Does that make sense to everybody? So yeah, I want everyone to feel that way. Feel okay with that. All right.
And we love your enthusiasm.
Yes, we do.
I'm trying to get us motivated because I'm going to tell you by day 10, we're all going to be tired and we're going to be like, I don't want to make any more calls, but we need to. So we might have a rally point along the way. Like I said, maybe we'll meet at Karma's and everybody who shows up will all have ice cream on me. I'll turn it into my steak budget for Just Serve, okay?
Ice cream.
Now maybe we'll do family home evening night on Monday halfway through. So, so look for an email for that for our halfway through point celebration, and we'll come get ice cream at Karma's. So I'll talk to her about a good time for that. I love it. I really appreciate each one of you. I know we all come from, very busy lives. We all have work. We all have so much happening. But truly, I know Heavenly, there's a reason. There's another, we don't know when there's going to be a crisis in our area, you know, and I feel like we're definitely going to be prepared for when something else happens. Our stake will be prepared. And I really am grateful for that. Definitely. So to end us tonight, we need to say a closing prayer, and I would love it if Russ, would you be willing to give our closing prayer?
Sure.
By the way, I served with them at girls camp years ago. I love these two. Thank you both.
You're welcome. Our dear Father in heaven, we thank thee for the opportunity we have to participate and to truly try to be thy hands on the earth. We thank thee for the enthusiasm that everyone has about doing that. We know that there are many in need and pray for wisdom and understanding and the ability to represent thy Son well. We thank thee for so many blessings as members of the church and pray that as we leave, we'll remember the things that we need to, that we'll be organized and complete information so that volunteers can help get the work done quickly and efficiently. We ask for these blessings and pray for thy insight and say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Russ. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time tonight. I just love each one of you. I wish we were in person. I'd hug lots of you. So thank you so much. Call me with any questions, anything I can help. Text me and email me, okay?
Thanks,
Thank
Megan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Group hug.
That's right. Group hug for sure.